This is Cooking with Anton. We have some really special guests today. Ms. Patricia Faust and her son Anton.
Hi.
Hi.
Great to connect with you again. It's so wonderful
So
to
nice
be here.
to see you. You do some really unusual work.
I do. I'm the executive director, mom in charge, as I say, of the Motherless Youth Opportunity Foundation.
That's a kind of adoption.
It's not about adoption at all. It's about the children that age out of the orphanage systems. And I'm focusing on Kazakhstan first, which is where my son is from originally. He's my inspiration.
I'm used to thinking of orphans as kids whose parents have died.
Some of their parents, yes, are deceased, but a lot of them are there due to economic conditions. It's very tough. Life is hard.
So the kids have simply been given up, and the state can support them in a way the parents couldn't. What's life like for them there?
In some respects, they're better off than some of the village kids because they do have 3 square meals a day. The government makes do with very little. I think they feed the children on maybe $300 a year. We're looking at these amazing vegetables. The children there will never...
So we take this for granted. We've got, all we had to do is drive down to the corner and we bring this home.
Mm-hmm. There's typical soup that they get every day of their lives at lunchtime. Has a pinch of grated carrots, 5 grains of rice, 2 beans, and what you think, you can't tell what it is, ground beef or buckwheat.
When you saw Anton the first time, you said he was pretty thin.
We were always supervised, and we finally had Anton alone, and we lifted up his shirt, and he was just ribs.
Oh.
He gained, in the first 6 months, he gained 15 pounds, 2 pant sizes, 3 shoe sizes, and he just filled out.
There's an old world mentality too. It doesn't just exist in Russia, it's still in modern Europe too, and sometimes over here where people say this is good enough, this is what you get.
It's cultural. I think it comes from the Stalin era. They didn't have a lot, and I think that's where their dietary norms came from, where they could make a whole meal out of nothing but homemade noodles and chicken broth, and that's dinner.
The kids are raised in these orphanages, but what happens when they're too old to be there?
We call it aging out, and it really puts them at risk. When a child turns 16 at the orphanage, they get sent to a trade school for 2 years. So they still have a little window of security there, but when trade school is finished and they're 18, they are 100% on their own. They've got a passport, $200, and they're dropped off by a bus in the city that they were born in.
So even the apprenticeship, it doesn't lead them into work or a situation?
The statistics are not very pretty. Within 2-3 years, 8 out of 10 girls are tricked into prostitution. 8 out of 10 boys are forced into criminal activity because they have to eat. And within that same time frame, 33% of the kids commit suicide because they can't handle life outside of the orphanage.
So your program is designed to give these kids a future.
Yes.
So that when they age out, they have connections, they have a future.
Yes, I have several programs that I'm building right now, and one is the summer hosting program.
Yeah.
And the beauty of the summer hosting program is if one of these types of kids can come to the U.S. for just 6 weeks, it will change their life profoundly, because they have never ever seen a family sit at a table and make a meal together and say grace together.
So is that kind of like an exchange student program, except it's just them coming here?
Yes, and
Right.
they get to see how a mother and a father operate together. My philosophy is, how can they teach it to their own families when they become adults if they've never seen it? And so I want them to see that.
You're also helping them be adopted in other places? Or?
Motherless youth is not about adoption at all. These are the children who will never get adopted. These are the children that we call the ones left behind.
Well, we know in our country that the little babies are all being adopted, and then once you get to the 7 and 8 year olds, they're kind of the unwanted children. Certainly the teens are completely left out of the picture.
Turning 8 is the kiss of death for an orphan. Very, very few people like me want children over even age 4.
So this program is different in that you're focusing on these older kids and you're giving them their future.
Giving them tools for life. As you know, I went to Kazakhstan twice last year. I was with another agency. We gave the children, the grads as we call them, who are 15 and 16, we give them a graduation party in May, and then in December we give all the children a Christmas party. And I came home and I was just profoundly saddened with the realization that we leave and their lives never change. And I came home and created this foundation because I want to give the kids tools. I don't want to just give them presents. I want to give them something that can really, truly change their life, which is knowledge, training.
Something in your heart must have taken you to Kazakhstan, but this situation exists around the world. So you want to, you said, create a template in a way.
In my research, while I was building the foundation and going through all the documentation, I realized there are hundreds of organizations out there in the world working on behalf of the kids, and there's no association of a council for orphan advocacy. Within 5 years, I'd like to see an international council for orphan advocacy, much like the UN of foundations or nonprofits like that, so we can all compare notes on what's working in Kazakhstan, what's working in Zimbabwe.
So other countries can follow suit.
We can share our resources.
What a huge, huge thing to give the world.
I'd love to be able to create the UN for orphans, orphan advocacy.
You have your son Anton, and you have some other kids coming now.
Natasha is 18 now, and her sister Tamara, or Tamara in Russian, will be coming this summer as my very personal pilot project for the summer hosting program.
I saw pictures of them on your website. You have a website.
I do. It's motherlessyouth.org.
Motherlessyouth.org.
Right.
So I would recommend going and taking a look at that because you'll see beautiful pictures. You'll see really interesting information there. Meanwhile, we have Anton here. He's no longer 7. He's 14.
Almost 15.
He's growing up.
It's going to be the Anton and Anton show.
Cooking with Anton and Anton.
The Anton and Anton show.
Anton, come on in here.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the ranch. You're too tall for this. You've got to
I
go.
need to get out of here and let you guys go.
We're gonna
because
cook.
I'm getting hungry. Okay.
Well, thank you, Patricia. All right. You ready to go?